Okay, everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our February Coffee with Kendall. Got my coffee, or maybe something a little stronger. You never can tell what's in here. I am your host, Kendall Mead. I'm the owner of Brandt Travel here in Frisco, Texas. And today we have invited one of our favorites to join us, Viking Cruises. Fun fact, we had two of our staff, Christy Odom and Roxanne Dillon, sailing on the gorgeous Rhine last month. They were there for 10 days. I know they would love to share their experience with you. In fact, our entire staff has firsthand knowledge of sailing with Viking, in addition to the hundreds of folks that we have successfully planned wonderful Viking vacations for. So I'd like to encourage you to stay tuned to the very end today because we do have a special announcement. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our Viking expert, Mr. Eric Molina.
I even got my big cup of coffee today for you all. I don't know what happened there. It wanted me to restart. Oh, anyway, I won't waste any more time. That was a beautiful introduction, Kendall. I thank you so much for all hanging in there with me. I swear I know how to do this. So, all right. So I'm going to share my screen because we want to talk about Viking, not my technical difficulties. So sincere apologies. But yes, the world of Viking, and you are in great hands with Brandt Travel. They have the hands-on knowledge of sailing on the product, and as well as that, they can send you on not just small ship experiences, but anywhere you want to go in the world. So I'm a big advocate of travel, and I think we all need to get back to doing what we love to do, and that's travel. So I'm very pleased to be with you this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, wherever you may be in this wonderful world. So I hope this is being recorded for folks that aren't able to join us. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to talk to you specifically about Viking and how Brandt Travel can help you on one of those small ship experiences that we deliver all around the world with Viking. We're now on all 7 continents with ocean, expedition, as well as river. So with all of those combined, we can deliver a small ship experience on any one of the 7 continents, over 400 ports of call. We are sailing on all 5 Great Lakes with that expedition ship. So if you want to stay closer to home, that's certainly an option. Also sailing on 20 of the rivers and 5 oceans. And, this is what we do. We explore the world in comfort. For those of you that are past Viking guests, thank you so much for your loyalty and your continued support throughout the years. As you know, we are the largest small ship provider in the world. So we will continue to deliver small ship experiences. And what does that exactly mean? That means that we are just under 200 guests, about 190 guests on our river ships on average, just under 1,000 guests at 930 with our ocean vessels, and then just under 400 guests on our Great Lakes, Antarctic, and Arctic experience with our expedition ships. And we do sail along the Mississippi, so that's, again, another option to stay closer to home. We sail everything from St. Paul down the 10-state system all the way to New Orleans, Louisiana. So that's going to be also a ship that's just under 400 guests. So we bring just over 2 decades of expertise, actually celebrating our 26th anniversary. I think the emphasis here is really how highly reviewed this segment of travel really is with regard to small ship experiences. For that means you're going to be completely enriched and immersed with carefully curated itineraries for discerning travelers like yourself. We are all about the destination at Viking. We'll never take away from the beautiful scenery going by, whether it's the vessel or what's happening on board. We truly want to spend and maximize your time in the port of call. The destination is typically a stone's throw away from where we dock, specifically with river. And we just kind of want to continue on the path that we've been on with regard to getting you closer to the destination, experiencing it like locals do with our local life programs, our working world programs, as well as our privileged access. So again, for those of you that have sailed with us, you can kind of keep me honest here with regard to the experience It is all about waking up in a different city every day and having something at least planned for you on a daily basis with regard to having an included tour and excursion. Of course, there are so many things that we include. We have what we call value inclusive pricing at Viking. We don't really have a nickel and diming type business model. We kind of do away with what we call some of the distractions on board, specifically on our ocean and expedition. We don't sail with anyone under the age of 18. We don't cater, don't have any programs. In fact, no one allowed under the age of 18 on any of the ships fleet wide. And then we don't have any art auctions, no photographers, no casinos on board. So again, it's all about where you're sailing with Viking, the destination, maximizing your time in port, having something included for you on a daily basis, and simply the vessel being a home away from home. Our catchphrase, our tagline for years now has been exploring the world in comfort, and it's exactly the type of experience we want to deliver. Whether you're sailing on the inside passage with us in Alaska, or sailing on an ocean ship in Southeast Asia, or a river cruise in Europe, or in in the U.S., we want it to feel like you're out exploring, learning about the destination, inclined on how you may want to experience that port of call, but then also have that home away from home that's really familiar with regard to Viking, that understated elegance, natural colors throughout type vessel, that ship that's going to take you from city to city and experience to experience. So we do pride ourselves that we do have a very high customer satisfaction rating at Viking. And I think it comes from the fact that we own and or operate the product. I think that's really important to mention before I kind of move on to the meat and potatoes and the itineraries and maybe some of the fun stuff with regard to owning and or operating the product. That means those are true Viking employees on board the vessels. We don't contract our staff out. Both hotel and culinary staff are, just like myself, a true Viking employee. So this is all the vessels kind of coming together with regard to the reach and the capability of Viking. Here in Amsterdam last fall, we kind of welcomed one of our new ocean ships, our new Polaris ship, which is the expedition ship, and then one of our river ships. So this isn't photoshopped, I assure you. Amsterdam did look like this for at least one day last fall, and it wasn't raining sideways and cold. For some of you that have been to Amsterdam, you know what I'm talking about. But it is a glorious city. We do a lot of embarkation and disembarkation in the city of Amsterdam, so we thought it'd be fitting that we take this photograph. But I think it's a great segue into some of the destinations and itineraries that Brandt's put together with regard to some of the best dates, pricing, and I guess just for the matter of just being the expert in for everything that is travel, but specifically Viking. Brandt does a really good job. Kendall and her staff do a really good job putting their heads together, taking the time and the know-how to kind of get some of the best dates, pricing, and availability on some of our most ideal times to be in these specific destinations. For example, the Grand European Tour. We are looking at our flagship itinerary here. This is a 15-day, 14-night experience that's going to go from Amsterdam to Budapest or Budapest to Amsterdam. We are speaking about being able to experience the Rhine, the Main-Danube Canal, and the Danube River. So these are the port of emphasis as far as the embarkation and disembarkation points. You get to see the cities that you're coming into and the city that you're leaving from with regard to small ship experiences, specifically with Viking. As I mentioned, we always do that. And then you have an overnight here in Vienna, but you can see kind of the point of interest and some of the ports of call you'll be calling on. So iconic cities like Amsterdam with all the world-renowned museums, canals, great place to extend if you can manage to be gone a little bit longer than just the sailing. Pre and post opportunities are certainly available here in Amsterdam, in Budapest, and also in Prague in the Czech Republic based on date and direction. But again, Brandt can really build any sort of pre or post outside of what Viking is offering. So keep that in mind. You're going to have that Rhine cruise, that Wachau Valley cruise on the Danube. And again, iconic cities like Amsterdam, Vienna, Budapest, some of the romantic road here onto the Main-Danube Canal, which is an engineering feat in its own. So keep the Grand European Tour in mind. I know there's still space for next year as we look at May and September, being some of the most ideal times to be in Europe. I believe Brandt is offering a May 14th date for 2025. And for those that just can't be gone 15 days, 14 nights, we're also doing the Budapest to Regensburg, Regensburg to Budapest Romantic Danube. So that's your 8-day, 7-night itinerary, kind of breaking the Grand European Tour up in two different itineraries. Is the Rhine Getaway, which is your Amsterdam to Basel, Basel to Amsterdam, or the Romantic Danube from Regensburg to Budapest, or Budapest to Regensburg, which there's actually still space from Regensburg to Budapest on Brandt Travel's September 8th sailing of this year. So just to keep that in mind, folks, we are small ships. We do sell out on average about 9 to 10 months in advance. And we're currently experiencing what we call in the industry wave season. So for cruise suppliers, this is when we really put out our most aggressive pricing. It's when you're going to have access to the most and best availability. So we're really pushing 25 and 26. But it sounds like Brandt Travel still has some space left in that group for this September if you're looking for space and still looking to sail this year. So not completely sold out by all means, whether it's Ocean, River, or Expedition for 24, but we are selling already into 25, believe it or not, into 26. And everybody hold their shorts. We'll probably open up 2027 here by the end of May, early June at the latest. So that's kind of what's going on in the world of Viking. Really popular are our cruise land tours. Portugal remains a very hot destination. It truly was a hot destination prior to the pandemic. We're talking about into the fall of 2019, and it's kind of picked up where it's left off, just like Japan, just like Peru, Australia, New Zealand, very, very popular, typically in folks' top 5, top 7 bucket list opportunities. So I certainly wanted to talk to you about our cruise land tour. What does that mean? That means there's a cruise that's built in and also hotel time. So in this case, with the Portugal's River of Gold, you are spending some time in a hotel in Lisbon, and then we're going to motor coach you up to Porto, where you'll then sail on the Douro River. So beautiful terrace vineyards, round trip Porto. This makes this a little bit longer of an experience, but marketing does say, since we did lose about 2.5 years of sailing or being able to travel, that if folks are willing to take an 8-hour plus flight, I'll say that one more time. If folks are willing to take an 8-hour plus flight, the minimum amount of nights they want to spend in a destination is 9 to 10. So this kind of fits in that wheelhouse. You'll see that Vikings kind of put together quite a bit of cruise land tours where you're coming into a hotel or staying later in a hotel. Again, Brandt Travel is kind of able to build everything in and around a Viking sailing. And this is your wonderful Douro cruise taking you into Salamanca, Spain as well. And then you can do some pre and post opportunity in whether it's Madrid, Barcelona, or of course, Lisbon itself. So very quickly want to talk about France. Lots of things to see and do this year and to the next couple of years with some big anniversaries. And, your 8-day, 7-night variations in France remain extremely popular. This is probably one of our more true river cruise opportunities in Lyon and Provence, from Lyon to Avignon or vice versa, spending time along and through those Gallo-Roman ruins, over the top food and wine experiences, and of course, ample time in Paris if you want to do an extension, and also along the French Riviera in Nice if you wanted to extend. But it is an 8-day, 7-night on the Rhone and Saône rivers there in southern France. You can also combine both itineraries and do the France's Finest, which is a 15-day opportunity, and you do both northern France and southern France, doing round trip Paris, which is Paris in the heart of Normandy, and then doing the southern France. But you can go in either direction. And of course, with the big anniversary this year, big 80th year anniversary, you don't necessarily have to be there in June. A lot of the space in the Paris and the heart of Normandy is pretty sold through this year with that big anniversary. But hey, with the Olympics and the big anniversary of D-Day, landing of the Allies, I can understand that. But there's always next year and beyond. It's not going anywhere, right? So you don't necessarily have to be there from March through November. You can be there anytime between March and November. It's kind of when the celebration will start. You don't necessarily have to be there in June. But we do a round trip Paris itinerary. We utilize our Seine class ships, which gives us the ability to dock just outside of where the Eiffel Tower is located. So about 300 to 400 yards from the Eiffel Tower. You do overnight at embarkation in Paris, have a whole next day as you sail away through the dusk. I'm sorry, around dusk out to and start to go north. And then you come back to Paris and you overnight before disembarkation. So the highlight really being Monet Gardens, Giverny, and I have to say the 3/4 day experience out touring, of course, the Normandy beaches, Omaha, Juno, and Gold, and then of course visiting the U.S. military cemetery. So it's I would say never enough time, a sombering experience, but certainly worth doing at least once in your lifetime. Paris and the Heart of Normandy remains one of our top itineraries. So I don't want to shy away about speaking about the Nile. We have 6 ships there. We haven't, as of yet, canceled any Nile cruises. This is a fully guided 12-day experience with an Egyptologist. And this is round trip Cairo with some intra-Egypt air, as you can see there. So we do sail down to Aswan. And this gives you the ability to experience the Nile. I know we have an option that'll take you into Abu Simbel, and you can have that experience. As of right now, for obvious reasons, we've canceled the pre-extension, which is really popular, which is Jerusalem and Israel, but we still are offering Petra and the Dead Sea in Jordan. So it's a wonderful place. It's up there with Peru, Japan, Portugal, as far as really popular prior to the pandemic, and it had picked up right where it left off. Of course, there's been some variation based on just what's going on. Of course, with the conflict with Israel and Palestine, but we remain positive that hopefully that'll move forward in a positive light, and again, we can get back to traveling with zero restrictions. But as of right now, have not canceled any Nile cruises, so I thought it was worth mentioning. As I've been asked, why have I shied away of talking about Egypt when it's not in my presentation? So I certainly wanted to include it today, and just let you know that yes, we are still sailing in Egypt, and more importantly, with the beautiful mind that Brandt Travel has, we are offering a cruise in 2026, and that is a late January departure, 2026, with the Pharaohs and Pyramids. So that's your Egypt itinerary, Brandt Travel, group discount and pricing, and some availability on that 2026 departure, which, again, before the conflict, right, Kendall, was not easy to get on a group. So again,
we were quite lucky.
Yeah, so it's quite a treat. I think the pricing and availability is certainly there, folks. Can't say enough about the program, and let's just hope things move pretty quickly in a positive light. And again, we can get back to traveling without restrictions. Let's talk very quickly about Ocean, as all these 10 ships are sister ships that were built for discovery. Again, just under 930 guests. They are all at just 48,000 tons, and very much more the same that you've seen with our river concepts, even Expedition. Again, natural colors throughout, understated elegance, and floor-to-ceiling glass window panes. A very much Scandinavian decor with a touch of Norwegian folkloric decor. Every piece of furniture is comfortable, and that's across the fleet. It's meant to be that way for folks to gather, have their downtime, and again, it feel like you're home away from home after you've had a long day of exploring and discovering the actual true destination. But some quick highlights. Of course, we love our two-story glassed encased experience here in the observation lounge. This is your piano bar type atmosphere in the evening. It is a two-story glassed encased experience with a kind of hidden, tucked away library up top. Again, a beautiful place to welcome the new destination you're sailing to. Of course, one of my favorite rooms on the whole, really destinations on the entire ship is the Winter Garden. I love this room. We have an international tea time daily. Again, all built into the price point, already included. You're not paying any additional to access any of these specialty restaurants or areas of the ship, or just because you book a certain cabin category, you're not allowed in the Winter Garden, or you are allowed in the Winter Garden. So that's not the case with Viking. We feel that everybody should have a calming tea time experience with an international tea sommelier there to explain the teas of the world, and also our resident chamber music. So can't say enough about this space. One of the only spaces on any given ship to ever be featured in the Architect Digest. So very cool. Of course, a enclosed experience can be opened up, weather permitting. This is our main pool. We also do some entertainment as well there in the evenings, right? All your Rat Pack shows, ABBA, Beatles. Again, we do speak to an active 50-plus-year-old, and I did mention that we don't have anyone under the age of 18. So that is really who Viking is. It very much is catered to folks that are looking for or just haven't, they're inclined to see the destination and take away memorable thinking person experiences, I should say. So again, the fine of our detail with Viking, we continue to streamline this, making things more fluid and maximizing the space in your cabin, whether it's a veranda stateroom all the way up to the owner's suite. Remember, this is an all veranda ship with regard to the vessels that sail on the ocean. I wanted to show you the penthouse junior suite because it gives you a little bit more room, a little bit of a more entertainment space for four, a little bit larger of a veranda, just a little bit, but it's still a full sit down veranda for two. And then you get a larger, bathroom, right? Kind of double sinks. Nice thing is that across the board with Viking, you always have heated floors. And, we just emphasize that we have some of the best bathrooms on any given ship, whether it's river, ocean, or expedition. And why that's important? Well, if you've sailed with some others, then you know why it's important. So I'll leave that at that. It's a very comfortable setting on Viking with regard to our cabin configurations. There are about 5 different cabin configurations on river with about 7 different price points and about the same on ocean. So again, not a lot of different variation, just a little bit more comfort, a little bit more space, but it does not get you access to different parts of the ship. Again, if you're booked in a veranda stateroom, you're able to access the same common spaces as someone that is booked into a penthouse junior suite. So just want to make that clear. Now it does dictate how far out you are able to book your tours and excursions that are maybe optional. It also gives you guaranteed reservations in the specialty restaurants, which we do have on board our ocean ship. And that again is you're not paying a reservation fee. You just have access to booking guaranteed reservations in like our Italian grill, which is Manfredi's, or our 100% paired. Every single course is paired at the chef's table. So you do have the access to book those further out, and you have guaranteed reservations. So I wanted to highlight some of our more popular ocean cruises. Of course, Australia and New Zealand remains very, very popular at the top of some folks' bucket list. This is jam-packed with value, especially with as much as you do see both north and south of the island there in New Zealand. And then also you just are not going to be able to do a lot of this driving and packing and unpacking if doing it on your own, even with a land motor coach tour. So 2 countries, jam-packed with value, 15-day experience, quickly can become almost 3 weeks when combining a pre or post opportunity. Just like my British Isles Explorer, another 2-week experience that's going to give you access to the UK, of course, Ireland and Scotland. And this is a London to Bergen itinerary, which also quickly becomes a longer, almost 3-week itinerary when you add more time in London, maybe potentially doing more time in Bergen, or taking that iconic train ride from Bergen over to Oslo. So again, jam-packed with value. These are some of the itineraries that have become kind of some of our flagship itineraries with regard to ocean, 2-week experiences. With ocean, we do sail everything from 8 days, 7 nights, all the way up to 140 days plus with some of our world cruises, and about half of that with some of our grand voyages. So I like to say we can find something for anyone's comfortableness of being on a ship for, again, 8 days, 7 nights, or almost half of a year. So also wanted to mention this itinerary. I know we do have some group space. This date leaves me, Kendall. I think we mentioned that this is a date that is
It's
being offered, but I'm sorry,
July
go ahead.
13th of 25, July 13th.
July 13th of next year, folks. So again, we relaunched with doing Iceland. We were doing a round trip Reykjavik itinerary, and Iceland's just really, really popular. I mean, you can put that in the top 5, top 6 as far as really popular destinations right now. So we went ahead and combined this with Greenland, and also, of course, the whole Nova Scotia, Newfoundland itinerary. So it is a little bit longer, but really, really iconic. Great rave reviews as far as folks that have sailed in these destinations, and also did the 8-day, 7-night round trip Iceland itinerary. I have a lot of folks that have come to me and said they've booked this because how much they love what we did going around Iceland. It was one of the cruises that we launched in June 2021 when we came back to sailing. Of course, all of those COVID protocols have been removed for you. They're certainly optional. We no longer ask for you to be vaccinated or not vaccinated, however you want to put it. I'm not going to get into that. So that dropped as far as November 1st. You can wear a mask or not wear a mask. It's certainly up to you. If you are up at 4 a.m., you'll still see our UV robots doing their job with regard to cleaning and disinfecting. But again, most of the protocols that were in place when we relaunched, even into 2022, and for the most part last year, are now gone. And as of the time being, will not be back. We will always follow the recommendation at the very least that the country puts out. And if we feel that's too low, then of course, if you know Viking, we'll change that. Okay, let me wrap up before we open it up to any questions or concerns or comments. Of course, I need to always mention our expedition product. It's like nothing we've ever done. Again, just under 400 guests, built just large enough to handle some of the roughest waters in the world there in the Arctic Circle and visiting Antarctica down south. And then the finesse to be able to get through the Great Lakes, all the way from New York City through all 5 Great Lakes and disembarking or embarking in Milwaukee. So love this product, love the itineraries that we're featuring, a lot of stuff closer to home. Combined with our ocean and now river on the Mississippi, we have over 30 itineraries that either start or end in North America. So we're really proud to say that if you don't want to take a flight that's 8 hours plus, you can certainly sail with Viking on both ocean and expedition, and of course on river on the Mississippi. So real quick, some of our more popular itineraries: New York to Toronto, so sailing up and around the Nova Scotia area, into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and through the St. Lawrence River onto Lake Ontario into the great city of Toronto. And then probably one of the more popular 8 days, 7 nights is our cruise from Toronto to Milwaukee. So everything from Lake Ontario through Lake Erie, above and over and around the Great Glove of the state of Michigan, and then into Lake Michigan, ending or departing from Milwaukee. So this is one of our more popular 8 day, 7 nights. Really fascinated by the ability to get through the Welland Canal and kind of shimmy through there, as it is very, very tight. It is a lot longer of an experience than you could imagine. If some of you have been through the Panama Canal, you can kind of relate this to that. It's a little bit tighter than that, but it does get you to sail right by those Niagara Falls, again, into Point Pelee and around that magical glove of the state of Michigan, and disembarking in Milwaukee. And then we have a couple variations of the 8 day, 7 night itineraries from Thunder Bay to Milwaukee, right? Lake Superior, Mackinac Island, Milwaukee, Lake Michigan, and then, of course, Milwaukee to Thunder Bay and vice versa. So some 8 day, 7 night variations. I think it's worth mentioning that we do have living, breathing scientists on board. It is highly interactive as far as how much or how little you want to do with these folks. But we have a lot of toys on board Expedition when you go to the places that, where it's not just all about ice time with Viking, say in the Arctic or Antarctica. We have military grade Zodiacs. We have what we call ribs, which are, just expedition type vessels that are going to take you into destinations. Of course, you have your tethers as well, and then your submersibles that are able to be deployed in the Arctic and Antarctica. So a lot to do and see with regard to the Great Lakes or the Arctic Circle or even Antarctica. And then we also do some, around the Cape there in South America, going from Buenos Aires to Santiago, and then also Ushuaia in Argentina, back and forth to Santiago, Chile. So I've always think that, again, Expedition is worth mentioning. I think it gives you the ability to cross that Drake Passage as maybe comfortable as you ever will be, unless you're going to fly across. Of course, there's some advantages and disadvantages of both, but I don't think you get to say that you sailed through and to and from the Drake Passage unless you actually do. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Kendall. I think she might even have some other special departures to highlight. And of course, that is the website to view everything and anything that's going on with the wonderful Brandt Travel. So back over to you, Kendall.
Thank you, Eric. What a great presentation. You certainly went all over the world as Viking does. Just to share a little bit with you, for those of you that did not join us last month for the Brandt Travel Coffee Talk, we had a bucket list building session. So it was all about how to build your bucket list and how to really set some of those more intriguing, interesting, even more expensive trips and pair it with something that is maybe less expensive or more domestic. And so I had a lot of good conversations with folks about how they had built their bucket list. So I know there is a ton of interest in Viking. One great thing to know about Viking is, as Eric mentioned, 2027 is even going to come out very soon. The great thing about Viking, we know the price of air. We know your cabin rate. We can tell you exactly what the cost of that trip is going to be. There is no need to wait until 10 months before to find out what the cost of your air is going to be. So it really does allow you to plan ahead so that you can make the best choices with your finances. So all of those trips that Eric showcased today, we have great savings on. And yes, they are for particular dates of the sailing. However, if those dates don't work for you, we can always find the perfect trip that does. And since you all stayed tuned to the very end, I'm going to share with you what our special is today. Not only will you get to take advantage of what Viking is offering this month, which is amazing, you still have the ability to deposit with just $25 per person, which is unbelievable. Everybody loves the low deposit. Also, if you are a past guest of Viking, you will get a double discount. So your standard past passenger discount will be doubled. If you are new to Viking, you are going to get a very large onboard credit that you can use towards optional excursions or purchases on board. So it is a great time to book. As Eric said, it is wave season, which means the best promotions are currently available, and we don't want you to miss out. So I know a lot of you are planning and ready to go. So just to help you move further with everything, we are going to make another offer today. So if you contact Brandt Travel, you ask us to place a courtesy hold on something for you, and you say to one of the team, "I love Viking," then we're going to know that you tuned in today. And the first 15 new bookings with Brandt Travel are going to get an additional $200 off the lowest price. So all you have to do is contact a team member, let us know where you'd like to go. We'll place that courtesy hold. We'll get everything set for you. You tell us, "I love Viking," and you're going to get another $200 discount. So, I mean, it's a win all the way around. Definitely not any reason to delay. So, I'd like to thank Eric again for spending time with us today. Thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate it. And
Oh, you're absolutely welcome.
happy Travel Tuesday, everyone.